Hans Niemann just destroyed Hikaru Nakamura. I'm talking a 26 move crush and with the black pieces. They played entitled Tuesday on the 13th of May, late tournament. This is out of this world good. Let's dive into the chess here. They're online, it's blitz. Hikaru kicks off with his favourite pawn to b3, and after e5 taking the centre, he fianchettos this guy. Hans covers the pawn, and now he goes back into a kind of Englishy opening with the explosive c4. The knight develops, pawn e3, and Hans erects that big black centre, and look at this for a stinky move, pawn a3. Now it definitely takes control of a key square, but this is risky chess, leaving the entire king side undeveloped, right? Now we get the bishop developing, knight f3 hits the pawn twice, and so look at this. Pawn to f6, a favourite of Hans's distant relative, Hans Feingold. What a move that is. Queen c2 and queen d7. You can really see what Hans is planning now. This is aggressive. We get knight to c3 po, captures, bishop takes back, and now the absolutely love it. Andrea's warming up the decks, but she's not quite yet spinning those beats. First we get this before Hans can get too comfortable, and here we go. Gary the debt collector just piled down the board. Andrea starts spinning those tunes because Hans is taking no prisoners, wants to blow Hikaru away, and the best way to go here is pawn b5. This wasn't played. We've gone to analysis, kick back the knight, and then strike in the center. Now I mention this because it's thematic. If you're getting hit with a flank attack, counter in the center, and in this line the knight's found a square on d2 once it gets attacked, and you're okay here. You know, you can capture with the bishop once you kick to the knight. Okay, black's a bit better, but white's okay. Compare that to the game. We get rook c1, very natural, lined up against the king, but now when g4 for the score comes, you can't plonk the knight back on d2. If you go here, well, you may as well be setting up for the next game and just resigning. So instead we get knight h4, but wow, that's a stinky piece. Bishop h6 is now played, and it's a great slow motion move. You're threatening bishop g5 to take this guy off the board or leave a horrible structure. So pawn b5 goes for the counterplay, the knight drops back, and now the best way to go, just want to quickly show this because it's a cool line, is hit the king, pawn push, drop this one back, and if knight d5 like we see in the game, then you just bring the bishop to d3 here and fight for the f5 square with 3 pieces. This is the key thing. Now it looks absolutely impossible because hang on, are you not losing a piece? No, because then black gets checkmated. This is the tricky tactical line with the whole thing. So that was the way to go, but who's finding that in blitz? Hikaru goes pawn h3, big mistake. Look at Stockfish poop its pants over there. Real solid -1 advantage now. We get takes and g3 is played. And this is really the point, that now Hikaru can bring Franken Knight back to life here, but there's an awesome sequence to come. First we get king b8, always play it. Now Hikaru pushes another juicer, the knight centralizes, and you've no time to try and save that bishop pair. Hikaru wisely develops. Now we get takes, queen recaptures, and with the knight now about to hop back into the game, Hans plays this awesome move in like a second. Look at the clock times, by the way. Hans Niemann blitzing Hikaru like he's an absolute patzer. He now plays e4 in about a second. Now that is some astute chess understanding. Idea being, the knight's now completely cut off. Look at that, no jumps where it can't be taken, and if you capture the pawn, again you've got the overloaded tactics thing. We just saw it over here, and now we see it down here. The king moves, and you don't just get checked and lose a rook, you get mated because of this pawn. So This is the point. This is why you can't touch f6 with the queen. So g4 was played, desperately trying to give the knight a square on f5. You could actually just take this pawn, top engine line, but this one was played, hitting the knight. It gallops forward, but this is anything but bold. This is just holding on by his fingernails, Hikaru. We get h5, trying to undermine the defense of the knight. You know, if takes, well, that one's dropping off the board. Now, best way to go is take here. This is how the line could proceed, and yes, you save your knight, you bring it back here, plus you've swapped the rooks, but black still remains better. Look at the pawns, look at the bishops, but not played. Hikaru plays the atrocious knight g3. What do we call it? The Hans Niemann effect. He's playing terrible chess. He's going after the e4 pawn, but after captures here, again, Hans is just calling Hikaru's bluff, because the best move here is actually castles. Now that's when you know your position's bad, if you're castling into the storm. But instead, we get knight takes on e4, and now you reap the whirlwind with bishop d5. There's pins galore, d3 desperately holds on, but f5 now kicks that knight unceremoniously. First it hops here and hits the queen, so you do pick up a valuable tempo, allows you to save the rook. But look at the dark squares now. Look where the queen is facing and the bishop. How do you rip everything open here? What's the top move? Well done if you saw it, guessed it. It's pawn g3 and Hikaru resigns here on move 26. Why? Well, the rook's under fire, of course, and if you take, which you want to do, then the queen crashes through. You double whammy in the rook with the bishop here, plus you're threatening to take here with check, rip open the king some more, the pawns come in, the bishops, the rooks any moment. You know, it's just a terminal attack, and so Hans takes the game, Hikaru resigning, and not prematurely. What an absolute crush. Hope you enjoyed that one. I'll bring the Magnus Carlsen game versus Hans Niemann from this very tournament tomorrow. Link it on screen now if it isn't there already. If you want a different video, then check out this past encounter between Magnus and Hans Niemann. Love this online blitz chess. Hope you did too. And do subscribe to never miss a future video. Thanks a lot and see you soon. Cheers.